Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we return to talking about the recently released live-action remake of the Disney classic movie Aladdin. This 2019 current year remake of the 1992 animated musical, well, it comes with its own challenges though. As we went over in our last Aladdin video, a lot of the casting of this movie was heavily scrutinized by the left, and they labeled it racist and offensive, of course. First, they balked at the casting of Naomi Scott as Jasmine. She's Indian and English, but apparently that's not brown enough for the social justice warriors. And it's pretty insane their complaint about her too, because she did a great job in the movie and she's also super hot, which is perfect for the role. And that was only the beginning of the left's racist complaints about this movie. Next, we talked about another group of SJWs who were really pissed off because one of the new princes in the film was a white dude. No, I'm not kidding. 99% of this movie's cast is brown people, but apparently it's never enough for people like this. Now we've got reverse racist liberal nutjobs saying no whites are allowed at all. Man, that's so current year. Now, before we get into this news story, where Vox chimes in and tries to be a big party pooper about this whole new movie, on the day of its release no less, like what a bunch of whiny losers. But before we move on to that, let's talk about the actual movie Aladdin for 1 minute. I saw the film a few days ago and I have to say, I really liked it a lot more than I thought I would. Definitely a good time for fans of the original like myself. Now, if you're new and you don't like kids movies or you may not like musicals, well, that means Aladdin's not really going to be for you. But for me, I was really getting into it right away. It was fun. The setting was great, the desert was awesome, and the Arabian costumes and style were really charming. Really well done, Disney. Graphics looked awesome too, and even Will Smith's genie wasn't that bad. He was pretty funny actually. Not nearly as bad as some of those pictures made him look early on. And it's also worth noting that the happy-go-lucky, feel-good, have a good time vibe was in this movie certainly, as I hoped for. Aladdin's not too serious of a story, but it wasn't a total farce at all either. It was playful and fun and serious when it had to be. And that's why I think this movie is a better fit for me compared to all the other live-action remakes Disney has been coming out with. Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella were too serious for me and too intense. And Christopher Robin almost made me cry. Damn, that movie was good, but it was sad as hell. And now we got count them, three more live-action Disney remakes coming out this year. Well, actually, Dumbo and Aladdin are already out now, and The Lion King comes out soon in a few months in July. And I'm actually more hopeful for The Lion King remake now after seeing Aladdin. You see, I hope The Lion King remake captures the same kind of happy, feel-good fun times that the other mid-90s classics did. Lion King had some good songs in there too. I doubt it'll be as happy as Aladdin though, since, you know, Lion King is about a lion whose dad gets killed by his brother and all that drama. Regardless, Aladdin was decent, and most importantly, it wasn't SJW, political, or really influenced by real-world issues at all. Even that white prince guy everyone was worried about, and the one that the left complained about, well, he was only in the movie for like 1 minute, gone in 60 seconds. But enough of this preface and talk about the original movie, the actual movie, the remake. I just wanted to put that out there and let you guys know how it went before we move on to this ridiculous attack coming from Vox. Their article is called "The Fraught Cultural Politics of Disney's New Aladdin Remake," with a subtitle saying, "The new live-action Aladdin can't fully overcome the tale's complicated story." If you say so, Vox. I've heard that the movie is doing exceedingly well, actually. It made over $200 million this opening weekend, so that's not too shabby. Really, I don't think any of this complicated history shit even matters. Not according to the general movie-going public. They might care about some diversity a little bit, but not in some race-obsessed way like what we're seeing from Vox. No, most people just want to see diversity, meaning they want to see different things from different cultures and places. A plethora of choices from all different locations and backgrounds. And Aladdin happens to be a good one that's set in ancient Arabia or the Middle East. But this has become a touchy subject because, one, SJWs are dominating the media right now and they're offended by everything. And two, Aladdin is a Middle Eastern-based story now that many can't handle because of the sensitivities of the people coming from there. Regardless, the movie happened and people are liking it and seeing it in droves, despite this old and boring stroll down memory lane which Vox is about to take us through. They're kind of going with old 2016 MTV News style liberal punditry here. It's dated. Like, this is the kind of stuff we saw from Francesca Ramsey years ago. And now Vox is taking up that mantle, I guess. They think they're smarter than everyone else because they did a Google search on Aladdin and found some 100-year-old black and white photography that makes the characters look offensive or something. That's right. Just like how MTV News would try and shame modern white people with pictures of slavery from 100 years ago, well, so too is Vox slamming Disney and other creators who dared to make their versions of Aladdin this tale that's been around for hundreds of years. Absolutely insane. And also, this whole I am very smart shit coming from Vox and others, it's really tiring. No one cares that some older version of Aladdin from 95 years ago might have been been a little insensitive. Give me a break. And no one thinks you're smart for bringing up this old shit. You sound like a party pooper trying to ruin everyone else's good time. Get a life, Vox. Regardless of that though, let's go ahead and read on and see what else they have to say. Most people think that the story of Aladdin comes from the original 1001 Night Tales, which is a collection of traditional Middle Eastern and Asian folklore. But in fact, Aladdin isn't a traditional folktale. It has a different history, and it's one that's still causing controversy today. The tale of Aladdin is born from a hodgepodge of cultural influences, each with an Orientalist viewpoint. Aladdin had no known source before French writer Antoine Galland stuck it into his 18th century translation of 1001 Nights. Galland claimed to have heard it firsthand from a Syrian storyteller, but claiming your original story came from an exotic faraway source is a common literary device, and it's likely this Syrian storyteller never existed. In other words, a French guy with a European colonial view of Asia gave us the original Aladdin. So what? Is it really such a crime that a story came from a white guy? I'm not buying this colonial bullshit you're trying to pin on him either. Jesus Christ. Who wasn't a white guy, by the way, but most American depictions of Jesus are pretty white looking, and there's nothing wrong with that either. The point is, people can write and adapt and interpret stories like Jesus or Aladdin from wherever they like, and they can make whatever versions they like. A white man can write a Middle Eastern tale or a Chinese one if they want to, and black people can write about Europeans and Canadians and so on and so forth. The initial colors of the people involved aren't and shouldn't be relevant here, but apparently they are and can be offensive to radical leftists like the ones working at Vox News. Most notably, and we've seen this from them time and time again, Vox obviously hates white people. They despise our culture and they even envy our success. And that's why when they get a whiff of a white writer, like with this Aladdin tale, they start to flip out because they don't like it when white people get credit for anything. And somehow, in their twisted mental gymnastics, Vox has this spun around like we are the racist ones in the wrong here, when really, they're the ones obsessed with race, and of course, they're the ones hating people for their races, namely hating white people. You could even still find many staged depictions of Aladdin as culturally Chinese, well into the 20th century, such as in this yellow-faced production of a British pantomime from 1935. Wow, hey, at least we're moving into the 20th century now, finally. Before they were complaining about writers from the 1800s. Now we got some black and white photography from 1935. Oh, and it's in yellow face, guys, so you know Vox thinks it's real racist. But I don't see how something in black and white can also be yellow, but also, I don't expect most of what Vox says to ever make any sense. It only makes sense if you can try and get into their crazy minds and know how they're thinking, like liberal SJW nutjobs. Get into the minds of the real racists here because, in their heads, this picture is a racist, offensive showing of cultural appropriation. And this claim brings us back to the previous theme because cultural appropriation is just another way to attack white people. It's liberal code for white people can't do anything besides exactly what's within their narrowly defined culture, which is according to the definitions of the liberal mainstream media who hates us. I mean, think about it. These are the same kinds of people who say white people don't even have a culture. Or another time in another Vox video I covered, they had a Jewish guy pretending to be white saying white people shouldn't worry about their culture, even though the very same website he works for was attacking our culture all the time, and still does. And now with this cultural appropriation argument they put out there, that's their way of saying whites can't do this story, just like how they say white actors can't even be in it. Perhaps in response to its alleged roots as a Syrian story, the 1992 animated film transplanted the fictional Chinese city of Agrabah to somewhere along the Jordan River, but Disney also gave the film several architectural and cultural flourishes that seem to hail from India, like basing the Sultan's palace on the Taj Mahal. The 1992 film revels in a lot of Orientalist stereotypes. Its mythos reeks of mystical exoticism, with Agrabah explicitly described as a city of mystery. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I don't know why that's offensive. Jasmine is a princess who longs to escape an oppressive, controlling culture. Her ultimate aim is to gain enough independence to marry for love, rather than political expediency, which made her strikingly evolved for the time, but seems hopelessly limiting now. Meanwhile, her father, the Sultan, is a babbling, easily manipulated man-child. The citizens of Agrabah are frequently depicted as barbarous sword wielders and sexualized belly dancers. Worse, the opening song, Arabian Nights, originally contained the ridiculously racist line, "They cut off your ear if they don't like your face, it's barbaric, but hey, it's home." Wow, this guy really didn't like the 1992 Aladdin. Why the hell is this biased hater even covering the new movie at Vox anyway? Oh yeah, it's because Vox in this article is another attack on the new movie. And here's the thing though, people were barbaric in the Middle East back then. They still are in fact, and they certainly were much more hundreds of years ago when this movie appears to be set. So with that said, I don't think this movie or the new one were racist at all. Just because the original had a line about cutting off ears doesn't mean it's super racist and a no-no. Oh, and they had belly belly dancers in it, you say? Well, guess what? Belly dancers exist, and they have been around for centuries, particularly in the Middle East, the part of this world the movie's set in. So I don't see why including them in a few lines about barbaric stuff in this movie is such a bad thing. It's true facts that happen, and just because Vox is super politically correct and sensitive about everything, doesn't mean we all have to be as sad and pathetic as they are. In the end, you really can't win with the SJWs like this, especially in a situation like this one. As I said before, Aladdin is just prone to these kinds of racist claims from people like this, because first, it's extremely popular and beloved, and lefties love attacking popular things to make themselves feel relevant. And also, Aladdin has the added complication of being an Arabian story now, based in the Middle East, of course. And since liberals like to stand up for brown people, particularly Muslims right now, and well, that makes Aladdin a perfect target for them, even though they're completely wrong about all of their claims. Really, Aladdin is a fun, happy-go-lucky movie musical, with catchy songs and a great cast to boot. The Arab influence and the Middle Eastern and even Indian influences, well, that's what makes this story more fun and original, if anything. But unfortunately, in 2019, SJWs and PC politics are at a peak here, so the party poopers like the ones at Vox are in full swing about this one. Thankfully, you got me, no bullshit here, and I'll be here every step of the way to combat their bad logic and rebut their bogus racist claims. What do you guys think? Is Aladdin offensive or maybe racist? Why does Vox get so pissed when white people are cast in or found to be writing stories like this? And what's their beef with us and popular movies like the ones made by Disney? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.